11.7, probability with the and. We're going to talk about dependent events. Here's a formula. Probability of A and B is equal to probability of A times probability of B given that A occurred. Okay, this vertical line, you can replace that with the word given. So we have to take it, before we can figure out the probability of B happening, in this instance, we have to take into account that A happened first. And here's a very simple example. We have a box of 6 jelly donuts and 6 plain donuts. One is drawn out. We eat it, of course. Could be a Paula's donut, for instance. Then another is drawn out and eaten. Find the probability of eating 2 jelly donuts. Well, the probability of the first jelly donut is going to be 6 out of 12. But then we want a probability of a second jelly donut given the first one was drawn out. Well, guess what? If we draw a jelly donut out, that becomes 5. So now the second jelly donut is simply going to be 5 out of 11. And now we need to calculate this. Well, you can reduce the 6 out of 12, you can reduce straight away as 1/2. And then 1 times 5 is 5, and 2 times 11 is 22. So a little less than a quarter of a time that's going to happen. Okay, let's reset our counter here. We'll make that a 6. And we want to find the probability of getting a jelly, then a plain. Well, a jelly donut is going to be 6 out of 12. And again, you can make that a 5. Now, a plain donut is going to be 6 out of 11. You can still reduce that to 1 out of 2. And you can further divide the 2 into the 6 3 times. 1 times 3 is 3. And 1 times 11 is 11. Incidentally, you can always multiply this. 6 times 6 is 36. 12 times 11 is 132, and then you can reduce that. If you have a calculator that reduces fractions, you can that would do it just fine. But we get 3 out of 11. Now, plain then jelly, we have to reset our counters here. Plain then jelly, a plain donut is going to be 6 out of 12. And we're going to make that a 5. Then a jelly donut's going to be 6 out of 11. And again, we can reduce that, and we get 3 out of 11. It's the same thing. Kind of makes sense that it should be jelly then plain, plain then jelly should be the same thing. Now, a plain and a jelly in any order. Now, this is really probability of plain and jelly, or probability of jelly or plain. These are what are called mutually exclusive events. We talked about that before. There's no overlap. There's no possibility of both of these happening at once. So we simply add these probabilities together. 3 out of 11. There's none of these in the homework, by the way, but it's worth mentioning. And guess what? We get 6 out of 11. So a little greater than 50% of the time. That's a 6. Okay. Now there's 9 homework questions. That should be sufficient to cover the homework. So that's all for this video.